So the sequel to The Babysitter, Killer Queen, is here. You just watched it and you're thinking to yourself, that was insane. But maybe you enjoyed it. Today we're going to run through what the heck just happened, how it possibly set up for a third film. We're going to talk about that post-credit scene. Of course, a spoiler warning is in effect. It's an ending explain video. What do you expect? So poor Cole experiencing something as traumatic as this, but no one seems to believe him. His father, his mother, neither of them are on the same page. We start out with this extremely stylistic scene of Cole reliving his trauma over and over again. And his parents, it seems they're kind of fed up, they've had enough, so they want to give him as much help as he can possibly get. We see him in a hilarious therapy session at the beginning of the film, where the guidance counselor is focusing more on the jokes than actually helping Cole, but he does say one thing that's extremely important that does actually come back around later on in the film. He says, listen, we've just got to get you laid. It seems like a joke at first, does indeed play into the third act, but we'll get there. And then re-enter Melanie. Oh, Melanie, we don't know what we're in for, but she is as loving and sweet as she was in the last film, right? Then we are introduced to the new character of Phoebe, who, not gonna lie, freaked me out at first. She seems like a BA character right off the bat, having no clue how she was going to come into play a bit later. But you know what? She kind of owns this role, and I respect that. Get an uncomfortable lotion scene between Cole and his dad when he's FaceTiming Melanie. It was awkward. But we also get a bit more insight into his mother and father's thoughts. It's like, listen, we have to move our son past this. Yes, it was a traumatic experience, but we don't believe a word he's saying. So the next day, Cole's father mentions something about picking him up for lunch, and he's just like, yeah, sure. Come to find out that there is an appointment scheduled for Thursday at 1 p.m., conveniently with a sticky note, at a psychiatric academy. Clearly what they've been doing is not working because he continues to see what he's seeing, so his parents are taking the next step. But is Cole willing to do that? Heck no. After finding out which drugs all of the students in the high school are using, Melanie approaches Cole and says, listen, you're going to have to make a decision. Red pill, blue pill. Go with your parents or go with me. We can escape, we can leave, not have to worry about this anymore. Look at me, batting my eyes. I'm Melanie. Love me. Come with me. So Cole makes the decision, therefore not going with his dad, instead choosing Melanie. Not a good choice, Cole. Cole's parents approach Juan and say, hey, we heard they may have snuck off and left together. Juan's just like, hey, come on in. We'll figure it out. Don't worry, guys. We're good. Then our main protagonist says, screw this. Not going to worry about it anymore. Gets rid of his pills. And it seems as if he has turned a new leaf and completely gotten past his trauma. Congratulations for the next few hours. Then, after the party's over, we have a little after party where Cole and Melanie have to go into a closet and do some closet things. And that's when everyone starts giving Cole a hard time. They start bringing up the past, and Melanie sticks up for him. She says, listen, Cole didn't come all this way to talk about this blood cult or the devil's book. And as soon as she says that, Cole says, wait a second. I've never told you about the devil's book. How did you know about the devil's book? Everyone kind of looks around, and then Melanie proceeds to say, well, I signed my name in it. She takes a hook, and she just decapitates one of the friends. Just like, all right, let's get him out of here. So it's the first bloody head explosion of many. And that's when the crew shows up. King Batch, Bella Thorne, Robbie Amell. How are they still alive? Well, they signed a deal with the devil, and they say, if we finish this before sunrise, a.k.a. receive and retrieve the blood that we're after, then we get to essentially live for good. So it is your typical race against the clock, except this time it's from the villain's perspective, and everyone returning from the dead is scary, but also exciting, because these are the characters that we kind of fell in love with in the first movie, and they're back. With cheesy entrances, but they're back nonetheless. That's when Phoebe pokes her head in and says, hey, my jet ski's running low. Do you guys have any gas? Just kidding, there's a decapitated person in the middle of the living room. I'll see you later. So later, when Cole runs off to find Phoebe, he explains this entire situation, expecting her not to believe him, because that's what he's had to deal with for the last 2 years. But to his surprise, she actually kind of believes it. And she's relieved because she thought it was zombies. So you can already see a relationship kind of sparking and building at this point, which is great because I thought Jenna Ortega did a fantastic job as Phoebe. So after the jet ski explodes, Phoebe encounters a very creepy old guy that starts getting more creepy, and it's not a good guy to approach at night. And here is where we see our first of the OG cast die. Something about heads exploding in this movie. She gets hit by a truck, slams into a wall, decapitated.
K.O.
So then, according to our characters, we have the old guys versus the new guys. They're getting in an argument while our two heroes are hiding under a car, and there's a snake about to crawl up his pants. Not gonna lie, I'd have a panic attack. I do not like snakes. Or spiders. I got bit by a spider once. It was Black Widow. It hurt. This scene gave us some pretty good jokes. I am dead tired, and I'm tired of being dead. And then King Batch says, the only thing sexy in the desert is a glass of water. King Batch, actually pretty funny in this movie. Meanwhile, let's check in on the dads, and they're getting high, so getting a lot accomplished over here. Back to the kids. So they try their best to convince Allison to save them, turn them in, and she'll turn into what she has always wanted to be, and that's a Kelly Ripa type. Now, one thing that continues to happen throughout this movie is we kind of get flashbacks as to where these individuals were at one point in their lives, and we see that tragic experience happen to her then. It plays into what's happening now. Too bad she doesn't buy it, so she takes her gun and tries to kill him instead, shooting herself in the chest. So she falls and gets caught in between two rocks. Take a guess. What happens to her? Once again, decapitation. Rest in peace, Allison. Unless she comes back, which is possible. Now, one thing I find interesting throughout this movie is they kind of get their one-on-one with each individual villain, from taking out Bella Thorne's character, now Robbie Amell. Also, I love how in Max's flashback he's not wearing a shirt. It's actually really funny. Hey, look, Samara Weaving. Is she going to be in the actual movie? Stay tuned. And while he does not get decapitated, I guess, his head gets set on fire, so that's close enough. Oh, nope, never mind. That's kind of decapitation, a little bit. Back at the dock, we have two members trying to escape this situation. Doesn't turn out well. They both die. So we're down to two. We have Melanie and John, who jokes about the fact that he's the lone remaining black guy, again, coming through with the humor, Andrew Bachelor. So then we get a very important scene between Phoebe and Cole where she explains what happened to her parents. Now, she doesn't tell the entire story. We figure that out a bit later on. But this is a very important moment because this not only describes what we needed to know as an audience, maybe using a bit of exposition, but it kind of sets these two up to do what happens a little later. You know what I mean? So while our lone remaining villainous characters decide to wait, our two main characters decide not to. Heyo! Here we go. But instead of the typical teen sex scene, we get a montage featuring the music Jump On It, which was playing via the speaker. Again, giving us something that we've never really seen before in a movie like this. So that's when the parents show up, trying their best to get their kids out into the open, not knowing that it spells inevitable doom. Well, I guess Melanie's already out in the open, but she's evil. And sure, they come out with war paint on, a crossbow. They do look a little crazy, so you can see why Dad doesn't necessarily believe his son. And of course, as Dad leaves, Melanie decides that she doesn't want to be grounded. So she cuts his arms off and kills him. There's proof right there. Just turn around. Look, Melanie's crazy. Hello? He's gone. So after Cole is put to sleep, we get this crazy Mortal Kombat style fight scene between Phoebe and Melanie, where Melanie ends up getting the best of Phoebe. Therefore, she's going to use her as bait. Of course she's going to use her as bait. Why not? Cole escapes, uses the car to get there, says, hey, do what you have to do to me as long as it saves her life. And then it happens. The moment that all of the fans were waiting for, even though they kind of showed it in the trailer, which was a bummer. In comes B, Samara Weaving. Now, part of me thought Samara Weaving was maybe a bit too big for this sequel, but no. With a huge, epic, grand entrance, and she seems to be the key to this entire thing. And she's back. She's as evil as ever. Right? But hey, she doesn't just know Cole. She knows Phoebe. That's right. She used to be Phoebe's babysitter, and she was actually there when the tragedy happened with her parents. She was driving the car. And that connection seems to be what set this entire thing in motion. So how did Phoebe survive that car wreck? Well, it seems that B struck a deal with the devil, and that's how she got in this situation in the first place. Okay, we'll come back to that in just a second. Oh my goodness, the villains won. First of all, they're back. But how did they manage to win they ended up retrieving the blood from Cole, which is what they needed, the blood of a virgin. Nope. Your boy got laid. Exactly what he was told to do at the beginning of the film is what saved their lives here. It's supposed to be the blood of the sacrifice mixed with the blood of the innocent, but your boy is not innocent no more. So instead of doing what it was intended to do, the blood does the opposite, and it destroys their souls, seemingly, who knows, forever. Turns out that the Killer Queen was the Killer Queen all along, except she betrayed her own group. Robbie Amell's character, not even being mad, calls Cole a stud. Respect. See ya, Melanie. You betrayed Cole. We're not going to miss you. So yeah, it turns out B did all of this just to save our two heroes. She planted the stuffed animal. She took the gas from the jet ski. She recites a Social Network line straight to Melanie. By the way, the pop culture references here, whether it is the Matrix with the red pill and the blue pill. Also, we talk a lot of Terminator, which is funny because the director of this film, McG, is actually the director of Terminator Salvation. And instead of being the demon the entire time, it turns out B was indeed the guardian angel, even though she was still a killer queen offering to protect Phoebe, basically give her life for hers, and then taking to heart what Cole said when he said he loved her at the end of the last film. So even though the plot itself was predictable, it turned out in a very different way than a lot of people expected. B drinks the blood, a very emotional moment between her and Cole, and she disappears. So, it turns out that Cole's father actually believes him after witnessing a lot of this happen. He gets his kiss, the hero's kiss at the end, victory. Everything seems to be turning out okay until we get that post-credit scene where the book opens up and it seems to be opening up a door for a possible sequel, a third film. Not a guarantee, but I have a strong feeling it will happen just because of the reception of the first film. It seems like a lot of people are tuning into the second. McG striking so many deals with Netflix, directing movies, producing television shows. Everything seems to be lining up for a third film, but I want to know from you all, what would the third movie be about? Will it have brand new characters? Will Cole and Phoebe go on a brand new adventure? Would you like to see some speculation in a separate video? Let me know all of those things down below, and if you want that video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. Plenty more ending videos coming on this channel, and of course you can check out my non-spoiler review for The Babysitter Killer Queen. I appreciate you guys so much for watching. Once again, this was a lot of fun to do, kind of going through all of these things in this breakdown. You're the best, appreciate it, and I'll see you very soon.